As the smoke of World War I cleared, it left Germany with a tragic legacy of nearly 3 million casualties, costing the nation a vast portion of its young, able-bodied male workforce. Facing this exhaustion, under the frantic direction of Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany aggressively researched methods to rapidly increase the population, creating a so-called baby boom. Yet these methods were so brutal and inhumane that even Japan, a fellow Axis power and aggressive invader, dared not fully imitate them. For behind those rising population figures lay crimes that could not be condoned. Before unveiling the secrets of German atrocities, one must look back at Japan's approach to understand the contrast in this earthly hell of the era. Prior to World War II, to compensate for mobilizing nearly 9 million men to the front lines, the Japanese military government implemented extreme coercive procreation measures, the most shocking of which was lowering the legal marriage age for females to just 13. One can only imagine Asian girls of that age, with bodies not yet fully developed and minds still innocent, being pushed by the law into lives as wives and mothers, enduring fatal physical damage from premature pregnancy. Even more terrifying, under the brainwashing of militarism, Japanese society at the time chanted the slogan, "Children are not one's own," but the states turning childbirth into a form of military service. Each family was assigned a quota to produce more than 5 children, facing heavy fines if they failed, creating an ironic scene where men packed their bags for death on the battlefield, while women at home gritted their teeth to give birth simply to avoid punishment. Tragically, after Japan surrendered, these very women were pushed by their government into American military camps to serve as comfort women, leading to the birth of nearly 200,000 mixed-race children amidst the cold indifference of the times. If Japan's methods shocked the human conscience, then what transpired in Nazi Germany was exponentially more horrifying. Hitler and Heinrich Himmler, the head of the SS, were obsessed with the theory of the superior Aryan bloodline and birthed a secret program named Lebensborn, the Fountain of Life. Hiding behind the facade of luxurious sanatoriums, Germany erected breeding farms, where they lured unmarried German women with pure bloodlines to live like princesses, with the sole task of mating with SS officers to produce perfect Aryan children. These infants were strictly screened at birth. If disabled or weak, they were euthanized without mercy, and if healthy, they were separated from their mothers after a short time to be handed over to wealthy officer families, where they were brainwashed into becoming loyal war machines. Hitler's ambition did not stop at Germany's borders. Feeling that the natural rate of reproduction was too slow, the German army began a nightmare of kidnapping children in occupied territories. In Poland, Norway, and France, German soldiers stormed into homes, snatching any child with blonde hair and blue eyes, features resembling the Aryan ideal. It is estimated that up to 200,000 children were kidnapped from their biological parents, taken to Germany, forced to forget their native tongues, and Germanized. Even more sadistically, to break biological limits, death camp doctors conducted experiments on living human bodies to find ways to induce twins or triplets, causing the agonizing deaths of nearly 100,000 Jews and Eastern Europeans. However, all these frantic efforts collapsed when Germany surrendered in May 1945. Hitler committed suicide, and the Lebensborn program ended after a decade of crimes, leaving behind files that were destroyed to hide the truth. The end of the war did not mean the end of the pain, as women who had relations with German soldiers became targets of brutal retaliation across Europe. In France and Norway, they were beaten, had their heads shaved, and were paraded through the streets in shame. The fate of Hitler's babies was even more tragic, as they instantly became orphans, scorned by society as mongrels, beaten in orphanages, and left to grow up with unhealable psychological scars. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battle lines, the Soviet Union and the United States wrote different stories of population recovery. The Soviet Union, which suffered the world's greatest loss of life, chose a path of recovery through humane policies like lowering the marriage age to 16, encouraging marriage to prisoners of war, and honoring heroine mothers with social welfare. The United States, thanks to post-war stability and economic prosperity, witnessed a natural baby boom, with 70 million children born, creating the nation's golden generation. Looking back at this entire era of blood and tears, we see clearly the cruelty of war, where humans were treated as tools, and we learn to cherish the value of peace, where children are born into love rather than to serve the ambitions of dictators.